Invisible mental programming. Have you ever wondered why certain ideas feel completely normal? Even though you never chose them yourself, your mind is constantly learning from everything around you. Every advertisement, social media post, news headline, conversation, and video leaves a small impression. Most of these impressions are so subtle that you never notice them. Yet they slowly shape your beliefs and decisions. This is called invisible mental programming. The human brain is designed to recognize patterns. When the same message appears again and again, your brain begins to accept it as familiar. Familiarity creates trust, even without evidence. That is why repeated information can become powerful. It does not force you to think differently overnight. Instead, it changes your thinking one small step at a time until the new idea feels natural. Think about how often you reach for your phone without any reason, or why you suddenly want a product you saw only a few times online. These actions may seem like personal choices, but many are influenced by repetition, emotion, and carefully designed psychological triggers. The first secret is awareness. The moment you start asking, "Why do I believe this?" or "Who benefits from this message?" you begin to break automatic thinking. A strong mind is not one that believes everything it hears. A strong mind questions, observes, compares different viewpoints, and makes decisions based on facts instead of repeated influence. Invisible mental programming only works best when people never notice it. The moment you become aware of it, you take the first step toward protecting your own thoughts and making truly independent decisions. Power of repetition. Most people believe they make decisions using logic, but repetition often has a stronger influence than facts. The more you hear the same message, the more familiar it becomes. Your brain naturally trusts familiar information because it requires less effort to process. This is why companies, media platforms, and advertisers repeat the same words, images, and ideas over and over again. Imagine hearing a statement once. You may ignore it. Hear it 10 times, and it starts to sound believable. Hear it 100 times, and many people accept it as truth without ever checking the evidence. This psychological effect quietly shapes opinions, buying habits, and even personal beliefs. Repetition is one of the oldest influence techniques in human history. It works because your brain is built to recognize patterns. Familiarity creates comfort, and comfort often becomes acceptance. That does not always mean the information is true. It simply means your mind has seen it enough times to stop questioning it. The second secret is learning to pause before accepting repeated information. Ask yourself, is this supported by facts, or have I only heard it many times? Read different viewpoints, compare reliable sources, and think independently before reaching a conclusion. The people who control repetition often control attention, and attention shapes behavior. Once you understand how repetition affects your mind, you become harder to manipulate. Awareness gives you the ability to separate truth from familiarity and make decisions based on evidence instead of automatic thinking. Emotional mind triggers. Have you ever noticed how some messages instantly make you feel angry, excited, afraid, or hopeful? That reaction is not always accidental. Emotions are one of the strongest shortcuts to influencing the human mind. When emotions become intense, critical thinking often becomes weaker. Instead of carefully analyzing facts, people react based on how they feel in the moment. Fear can make people act quickly without asking questions. Excitement can create unrealistic expectations. Anger can push someone to share information before checking whether it is true. These emotional triggers are used in advertising, entertainment, politics, and social media because they attract attention and keep people engaged for longer. Your brain remembers emotional experiences better than ordinary ones. That is why dramatic headlines, shocking images, and powerful stories spread so fast. They capture attention first and encourage thinking later. While emotions are a natural part of life, they should never replace careful judgment. The third secret is learning to recognize emotional manipulation before reacting. When a message creates a strong emotional response, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I responding to facts or am I responding to emotions? This simple habit gives your rational mind time to evaluate the situation. A strong mind does not ignore emotions. It understands them without allowing them to control every decision. The more aware you become of emotional triggers, the more difficult it becomes for others to influence your thoughts, choices, and actions without your knowledge. Social proof effect. Have you ever followed a trend simply because everyone else seemed to be doing it? That is the power of social proof. The human brain naturally looks at other people when deciding what is safe, popular, or correct. When thousands of people support an idea, buy a product, or repeat the same opinion, many others begin to believe it must be right. This instinct helped humans survive for centuries. Staying with the group often meant staying safe. Today, however, the same instinct can be used to influence your decisions without you realizing it. Social media likes, viral videos, trending topics, and positive reviews all create the feeling that something is trustworthy, simply because many people approve of it. Popularity does not always equal truth. 1 million people can repeat the same mistake, and it is still a mistake. That is why independent thinking is so valuable. Before accepting a popular opinion, ask yourself whether it is supported by facts, evidence, and reliable sources, or whether you are simply following the crowd. The fourth secret is learning to separate popularity from reality. Do not let numbers make decisions for you. Instead, use curiosity, research, and critical thinking. Listen to different perspectives and evaluate the information before reaching your own conclusion. People who think independently are much harder to manipulate. They respect evidence more than popularity and value truth over trends. Once you understand the social proof effect, you gain the confidence to make decisions based on knowledge instead of pressure from the crowd. Hidden cognitive biases. Your brain is incredibly powerful, but it also takes shortcuts. These shortcuts are called cognitive biases. They help you make quick decisions, yet they can also distort reality without you realizing it. Every day, your mind filters information, ignores certain facts, and focuses on what feels familiar. This happens automatically, often before conscious thinking even begins. One of the most common biases is confirmation bias. People naturally search for information that supports what they already believe while ignoring evidence that challenges those beliefs. The more this happens, the stronger those beliefs become, even if they are inaccurate. This is one reason why different people can see the same event and reach completely different conclusions. Another bias is authority bias. Many people accept information simply because it comes from someone famous, powerful, or respected. While experts can provide valuable knowledge, no one should be trusted without questioning the evidence. Real understanding comes from examining facts, not just titles or popularity. The fifth secret is recognizing your own mental shortcuts. Instead of asking, "Do I agree with this?" ask, "Is there solid evidence for this?" Be willing to challenge your own opinions and consider viewpoints that are different from your own. This habit strengthens critical thinking and reduces the influence of hidden biases. The strongest minds are not those that never make mistakes. They are the ones that are willing to question themselves, learn continuously, and change their views when the facts clearly support a better conclusion. Awareness of cognitive biases is the first step toward clearer thinking and wiser decisions. Attention controls reality. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you have. Wherever your attention goes, your thoughts, emotions, and decisions usually follow. That is why companies, media platforms, and content creators compete for every second of your focus. The longer they hold your attention, the more influence they can have on the way you think and behave. Every notification, breaking headline, and endless scroll is designed to pull your eyes back to the screen. When your attention is constantly interrupted, your brain has less time to think deeply. Instead of making careful decisions, you begin reacting quickly to whatever appears in front of you. Over time, this habit can reduce concentration and make outside influence even stronger. People often believe they are choosing what to watch or read, but many choices are guided by algorithms that predict what will keep them engaged. The more you interact with similar content, the more of it you receive. Slowly, your view of the world becomes narrower, and you may start believing that what you see online is the complete picture. The sixth secret is learning to control your attention before someone else does. Choose your information carefully. Take breaks from constant scrolling, and spend time thinking without distractions. Ask yourself whether what you are watching is helping you grow or simply keeping you occupied. A focused mind is difficult to manipulate because it is guided by purpose instead of impulse. When you protect your attention, you also protect your freedom to think clearly, make better decisions, and build a life based on conscious choices rather than constant distraction. Take back control. After discovering the hidden ways your mind can be influenced, One important question remains. What can you do about it? The good news is that awareness is the beginning of freedom. Once you recognize the patterns of manipulation, they become much less effective. A conscious mind is far more difficult to control than an unaware one. Every day, choose information with intention instead of consuming everything that appears on your screen. Read from reliable sources, compare different viewpoints, and never be afraid to question popular opinions. Truth becomes clearer when you examine evidence instead of following emotions or repetition. Train your mind the same way you train your body. Strong habits create a strong mindset. Spend time reading books, learning new skills, solving problems, and reflecting on your own thoughts. The more knowledge you gain, the less dependent you become on the opinions of others. Remember that no one controls your future unless you give them control over your thinking. Every decision you make shapes the person you become. Protect your attention, challenge your assumptions, and stay curious. Curiosity is stronger than fear, and knowledge is stronger than manipulation. The seventh and final secret is simple. Take responsibility for your own mind. Think before you believe. Observe before you react. Question before you accept. When you develop these habits, you become the author of your own story instead of a character in someone else's plan. Real freedom does not begin with changing the world around you. It begins with changing the way you think. The moment you take back control of your mind is the moment you begin creating a future based on wisdom, confidence, and independent thought.